Hey everyone, welcome back to this month's Watch of the Month Club. This is our April edition where we're going to be taking a look at some of the best budget dress watches. In particular, I'm going to be recommending two dress watches. So if you guys are unfamiliar with the Watch of the Month Club that I do here on the channel, it's kind of a newer feature, but every month I'm going to be recommending two watches, one in a bronze tier and one at a silver tier. So the bronze watch will be $60 or less. And the silver watch will be $120 or less. As always, towards the end of the video, I will give some honorable mentions. So if you didn't like the two choices, I'll give you a couple of extra ones to think about, and we'll go through. Again, the idea here is that this is like the opposite of a subscription service. I used to call this the unsubscription service. So kind of the idea here is that rather than you sending in your money to a subscription service every month, I'll just recommend some watches and you can go out and buy them if you like, but you can consider setting aside a certain amount every month if that's your thing. If you're interested in one of these kind of subscription services, consider this as an alternative to that. Also, I want to let you guys know what next month's category is going to be so you can help me out in choosing the list and the watches that I'll recommend. Next month we're going to be looking at field watches. So drop me a comment below. Let me know what your favorite field watch is in the $60 or less category as well as the $120 or less category, and we'll get those considered for the May episode of the Watch of the Month Club. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the recommendations for this month, starting in the bronze category. So if you've been in this $60 a month category, if that's your budget, this is your shot to get an automatic watch into your collection because there's some great Chinese manufactured automatic watches in this category, and so that's going to be one of our recommendations this month. I've talked a lot about the Guanqin GJ160-34 here. I've done some reviews on it, so I'm not going to recommend that one. We're going to go with a little bit different one. So I'm going to recommend today the Cadisen C1033. So to me, this is one that I haven't seen as much information. I haven't seen as many reviews on. It's one that I'm really interested in and would like to pick up pretty soon here. Kind of looking at maybe getting it to take a look at. So it's very similar to the more popular Cadisen. Which one is it? The C1032, in that it has a stainless steel bracelet. It's got a Seiko NH35 movement, sapphire crystal, and yeah, so all amazing things that you're getting for this price. It runs in right around, I think a little bit over $50 right now on GearBest. I'll drop a link to that below. But on this particular version, you're getting some really beautiful color options. So it comes in kind of a sunburst black, blue, or green, and I think the blue and green in particular are really beautiful colors. And so if you want to get something a little bit more colorful, I think this is a great option to look at. The only thing that I don't like about it is that it does have diamonds or diamond-like stones at the 12 and 6 o'clock. And I'm not a particular fan, but I don't think it really ruins the look of the dial that much. I think it's okay. I think you can kind of get away with it. And I definitely think the rest of the specs and the classiness of the watch kind of make up for that. So that's going to be our recommendation for this month's bronze tier dress watch. Stick around if you want to hear some other recommendations if that doesn't quite do it for you. For the silver winner this month, we're going to be going with a watch that maybe on paper, as far as specs go, might not even be as good as the bronze watch, but that's kind of how it goes with these Chinese specials. Specs-wise, they're really hard to beat. So instead, with the silver winner, what we're doing here, I'm going to go with the Seiko 5. So this is one of the Seiko 5s that I'm most interested in right now. It's the Seiko 5 SNX S73. And this is kind of a little, it's like a little Seiko 5 dress watch. It's a very small watch. So for me, I'm a little concerned that it might be too small. It might be too small for some of you guys. It's about a 37 millimeter diameter watch, so pretty tiny. But the length of it looks like it's a little bit longer on the lug, so it might not wear quite as small as that small diameter would suggest. What I like about this particular one is it has some really heavily applied luminous markers, and then the hands are also lume, and then just the whole layout of the dial, it kind of has like a really vintage Rolex Datejust vibe, and I think it's just a really cool, classy look. And I like having that lume on. I think that's really interesting, and that's something that is really hard to get in Chinese watches. If you're looking at the Chinese watches, usually the lume is not that great. So to be able to pick up a dress watch that has that Seiko lume in it, that has those kind of heavily applied markers. I think this is a great, fun little watch. It's something that, again, I'm really interested in getting my hands on as well. That one's running, I think, around $100 on Amazon right now, a little bit under, so definitely stepping up a bit in price, but that's going to be our recommendation for the silver tier. Let's go ahead and get on to the honorable mentions, and we've got a lot of them this month to go through. There's so many great choices for dress watches, and this is one of my favorite categories to shop around in, especially in this price range. So we'll start with some of the more budget ones. So first, let's look at 3 more Chinese watches because I think there's 3 other ones that are really great values, and I'll just run through them real quick as we get them up on the screen. So we have obviously the Guanqin GJ160-34. Again, I've talked at length about this watch on the channel. I've done a couple of reviews. You can check those out if you're interested. This is one of my favorite watches in this category. Probably the most popular one right now. It seems like the safest bet is the Cadisen C1032. So the C1033 is the one that made our bronze recommendation this month. This is almost the same watch, except it has a much simpler dial. It doesn't have the diamonds on it, and it comes in black and silver. Other than that, you're getting basically the same specs, a little bit different design. I think it's a little bit on the boring side, and that's why I haven't picked it up yet. But it's just a really classic, simple, high quality dress watch. Again, you're getting that Seiko NH35 movement, so a great one to pick up. And then our last one, you got to look at Star King as well. That's kind of like the trifecta of Chinese watches, is the Guanqin, Cadisen, and Star King. Star King, the unique thing about them is they make their own movements, and they generally put high beat movements into their watches. So I'm going to be recommending the AU1060-51E for you guys to check that out. Again, there will be links to all of these watches down below in the description. Next, we're going to look briefly at the Timex Metropolitan. This is another watch that I've reviewed here on the channel. And if you're looking for something different, not like a Chinese special, this is not an automatic watch. This is a quartz movement. It's extremely thin though, and I really love the design of it. It's a really classic dress watch look. Doesn't have a second hand, so very formal, very dressy. Very comfortable, very wearable, and it's very affordable. It's only $40. So definitely, guys, check that one out if you're in this $60 price range and you want to look at that. Let's go ahead and bump it up a little bit and look at ones that are maybe would have been closer to the silver category, starting with the Bulova kind of classic. It's a 96B233, and this is one of my favorite quartz dress watches. It's one that I've always wanted to pick up. I just love the design of it. It's such a simple design, but it has a little bit of a vintage feel. And one of my favorite features of it is kind of the hidden date at 6 o'clock. Like, unless you know that's the date down there, you almost don't even realize that it has a date function because it blends into the dial so well. So I think they just did a really classy job of kind of putting that date down there in an inconspicuous place. And it's kind of a cool, unique feature. So I really love the look of that. Next one, and that one's at $140, so a little bit over our price range. That's the reason it didn't make it as the winner this month. Next one, let's go back and look at another Chinese watch. What can you get for, $120 in this Chinese price range? So if you were able to get all of that in a $60 watch, if you bump your budget up to around $100, you can get the Xiaomi U Pin. And to me, this kind of looks like a Seiko Cocktail Time homage. Has a very similar dial to that sunburst dial. I think it looks really cool. It's a really clean, very minimalist look, so very little markings on the dial. Great dimensions. You're getting sapphire crystal again. And then this one has a Miyota movement inside. I'm not sure exactly which one, but you are getting a Japanese movement. So yeah, there's some good reviews of that one. And this is one that I've been really interested in. I think you're getting a little bit of a step up in build quality, and then you're also getting definitely a cooler dial than you get in the cheaper Chinese specials that we mentioned before. Okay, and let's look at a couple more, sort of a series of watches. Again, in this price range, especially at the $120, you got to start looking at Citizen EcoDrives. They make, Citizen EcoDrive is a huge range of watches, from everything from dive watches to dress watches to field watches, sports chronographs. They make everything in EcoDrive, but their EcoDrive dress watches, there's a lot of really classy looking watches, a lot of very unique looking ones, and so I'll put 3 of them up here on the screen. Obviously, the EcoDrive refers to their solar or light powered movement, where these things will basically run forever without having to change the batteries. It's a little bit of an overstatement, but essentially that's what you get. So they're really functional, practical watches that also look very beautiful. And we've got, yeah, I'll just put those three of them. These are three of my favorite EcoDrives at some different price ranges. And the cheapest one almost knocks down to our bronze category. So if you're interested in an EcoDrive, that might be one to pick up. Finally, we're going to go ahead and close this out with a couple of watches from Orient. Again, you can't talk about dress watches in the $120 price range without looking at Orient. The Orient Bambino, generally considered the best dress watch in this price range because it runs right around $120. So I'll put my favorite Bambino up there. It's the version 3. I used to own it myself and really loved it. Another one that I want to point out to you guys is the Orient Howard, which is only around $100. That one you get kind of a cool textured dial and you're getting Arabic numerals. It has a little bit of a more casual look to it. But overall, I think that's a great, very versatile dress watch. It also comes in with a 50-meter water resistance and a flat mineral crystal instead of the domed one. So a little bit more rugged, I think. And then finally, the Bambino Small Seconds. Maybe my favorite Bambino, but kind of way over the price range. It's around $180. So it's getting a little bit too expensive there. So with all of that said, that will wrap up our Watch of the Month Club. Thank you guys for watching. Again, links to all of these watches down below, so you can check them out in the description and look and see if you're interested in purchasing any of these. Let me know if you do. And again, next month's category is field watches. So let me know your favorite field watch at $60 or less and your favorite field watch at $120 or less. And we'll be looking at that next month. But until then, we'll see you later, and thanks for watching.